Residents, causes, and organizations that deserve recognition in our community. Before we begin, I would like to thank everyone who helped make this event possible, including the clerk's office, my colleagues on council, and their teams who helped us prepare these celebrations for our honorees this afternoon. As we traditionally do, we will now go around the dais in alphabetical order, allowing each council member the opportunity to invite their guests up to the front. Later this evening, we will vote on these resolutions to honor the folks that we are recognizing. With that, I'm going to turn the floor over to Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, President Harden. And as I prepare my remarks, I'm going to ask Ms. Tanya Kelly, any of her guests, if they would come forward at this time. And I am proud to present Resolution 0251X-2024, recognizing October as Ostomy Awareness Month. This is an important time to raise awareness, to break the stigma, and advocate for individuals living with ostomies. Ostomy Awareness Day was observed this past weekend on Saturday, October 5th, with the theme, Ostomies Are Lifesavers, reminding us of the life-changing impact of this surgery. Ostomy surgery is a life-saving procedure that reroutes bodily waste due to issues with the digestive or urinary systems. The surgery is often necessary for people with conditions like Crohn's disease, cancer, inflammatory bowel disease, or severe trauma, including injuries sustained during military service. Today, more than 725,000 Americans live with an ostomy, and 1 in 500 people will require this procedure in their lifetime. Despite its life-saving nature, those with ostomies often face stigma, with 70% reporting feelings of social isolation or shame. It is vital that we work together to break this silence and raise awareness about the realities of living with an ostomy. Today, I would like to honor and acknowledge a good friend of mine and community leader, Ms. Tanya Kelly, a true advocate for this cause. Tanya herself underwent life-saving ostomy surgery in March of this year, and her journey has inspired her to support others in the ostomy community. Through her leadership of Ostomy Warriors, one of 4 support groups in Ohio, Tanya offers emotional support and resources to fellow ostomy caregivers and families. Ostomy Warriors also serve as a donation hub, receiving much-needed supplies from the OSU Ostomy Clinic and community donations to assist those in need. By recognizing Ostomy Month, Awareness Month, the City of Columbus promotes open dialogue, reduces stigma, and fosters a sense of community for those living with ostomies. Ms. Tanya Kelly, the floor is yours. And let me just say this before you go. When this came across my desk, I said, this is so Tanya. When you think about your story and your journey of the organization you created to help against bullying in our schools, so this is another way for you to continue to break stigmas and raise awareness. So thank you for all that you're doing, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, City Council President Harden, City Councilman Bankston, and the City Councilmen and women. I just want to say thank you very much for this resolution. But I did bring 2 of my ostomates here with us, and I would like to give them a quick, 1 minute for them to share their story with us, just for everyone to really understand what ostomates are and how it is a lifesaver for us.
Hello, I'm Shamika Hutterberg. I am from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I came here today to speak, and I'm glad to be here. I had got my bag December 4th, 2022, due to endometriosis, and here I am, 28 years old, had to get a bag due to fibroids that closed my colon. However, I don't know if it's permanent, but I've been living this bag life. It has helped my life tremendously due to all the issues I had due to IBS, so it was hard. But I must say, once I got this bag, being so young, I was scared, I was shy, but I reached out. It took a lot for me to reach out to people. And once I reached out, I'm not gonna lie to you, so many people I found out had bags that I didn't know around the world, around the city. And without me not speaking up about it, I wouldn't have known who was around with bags to talk to support me. And I'm just so happy because it was hard to expose that to the world because there's so many stigmas, but without me exposing that, I wouldn't be here today to speak and be happy to wear this shirt, sometimes walk around showing my bag. And I'm so glad that I did tell the word about this because, once again, you can meet people just like you and have so much support. And to those out there who have bags, do not be scared to tell the word about your story because you don't know who can support you and you can support. And it could be you one day. So you want to know about ostomies and how important it is to deal with it and to love ones who have one because, you're giving them that support.
And then we also have Pam, who is a 38 Ostomate Warrior.
Hi, I'm Pamela Malik Harris. I've had my ileostomy for 38 years. And I try to speak to people and let them know sometimes it's not the end of the world for you. It can become a beginning, right? And the reason why I got mine is because I was diagnosed with Crohn's when I was 18 years old. And they had tried so many, at that time, they only gave you prednisone to try to manage your Crohn's. And it got to a point where the prednisone did not work anymore. So I almost died. I mean, I had started actually making tapes for my 2 daughters. That's how close to death I was. So I went up to Cleveland Clinic. My doctor recommended me to go to Cleveland Clinic, and that's where I went. And when I got there, I was only going as an outpatient. But the doctor told me, he said, if I let you go home, you will die. And because I had those 2 daughters, it was very important for me to stay there. So I always tell people, too, your life doesn't have to change, right? I've traveled. I've been to Italy. I've been to Rome, right? I have been so many places, and I have worked continuously since after 2 years, it took 2 years for me to recover. But after that, I have been working ever since. So it's a lifesaver for people, you know. So we just want to talk about the positive things instead of all the negativeness. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Bankston. My journey, it started in December. I was paralyzed from the waist down. I did not start walking again until July 26th of this year. So ileostomy changed my life. I was not able to be in the community. I lost a lot of things, but again, ostomy is a lifesaver. And to break the stigmatism, there's 75% of ostomates that are right here in Columbus, Ohio, that have committed suicide or have tried because of a ileostomy or a colostomy. And so today was just to bring awareness and advocacy that ileostomies, ostomy bags, we are lifesavers. We are here for support. And I just want to say thank you very much for Columbus City Council for acknowledging Ostomy Awareness Day. Thank you.
And thank you, Ms. Kelly, for always advocating and using your voice and the experiences that you go through to lift up the voice of others. It's admirable. And I remember when I got that call about your hospitalization. And so, one, to God be the glory that you are here today, but also from the stories that is heard from these ladies that the ostomy bag saved your life. And so, and is a part of you now and allows you to have the type of life that you have. So again, thank you for bringing this awareness to us. And are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? All right, seeing none, I will look forward to introducing this resolution at the top of our regular meeting and moving for adoption. So thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember Bankston. Next up is Councilmember Rosa de Padilla.
Thank you, Council President. And if our friends from Leadership Columbus will start making their way up to the front. We'll be recognizing Leadership Columbus through Resolution 0257X 2024 to celebrate and congratulate Leadership Columbus on 50 years of empowering and inspiring local leaders. Leadership Columbus is a training program established in 1974 aimed at developing diverse leaders within the community and preparing them to make impactful change. And over 3,400 alumni, myself included, have graduated from Leadership Columbus programs, with many upholding influential positions that help shape policy, guide nonprofits, and lead corporations. And alumni of Leadership Columbus have played an impactful role in shaping the future of Central Ohio as a more equitable, vibrant, and connected community. And Leadership Columbus is a valuable asset to the Central Ohio community that continues to be prosperous and shape new leaders. And I just want to say, just personally, it's interesting. So Megan Kilgore and I sit in these two seats, and this is actually where we met, was in Leadership Columbus. Not only were we in the same class, but we were in the same project, because Leadership Columbus members actually choose a topic and develop a community project. And so we had the opportunity to work on when we were young pups then. Look at us now. I wish you were here, because we couldn't have imagined. And I always time my Leadership Columbus time away from my oldest daughter. I was pregnant with her. She's 16 years old. Clearly, I was only 12 when I was in the program. Thank you for for letting in young people. But we often talk about proximity, and proximity is how we create change. And one of the things that I love about Leadership Columbus is it gives our leaders the proximity to community and proximity to each other and other leaders, and broadens their perspective and inevitably makes them better leaders for our city. So I want to congratulate you on 50 years and give you the floor. The Executive Director of Leadership Columbus, Katie Bauer.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's funny, I was pregnant with my youngest when I went through in 17, so it is marking the passage of time. Thank you so much. I'm Kate Bauer. I'm the Executive Director of Leadership Columbus. As we celebrate 50 years of Leadership Columbus, it is remarkable to reflect on the impact that this organization has had on our city. Since our founding in 1974, as you said, we have graduated over 3,400 leaders who are shaping our community today. From nonprofit leaders to city council members, business executives to civic champions, our alumni are deeply embedded in the fabric of this city. And together, they've influenced key decisions, driven innovation, and fostered a culture of collaboration and service. Receiving this resolution from City Council is a true honor. It represents the city's recognition of the leadership and community engagement we've fostered over the last 5 decades. And we're grateful for the city's continued support as we strive to build a brighter and more inclusive future. I do want to give a special thank you to those who have helped shape this organization, who are here with me today. Representing our Board of Trustees is Board Chair Kelly Clifford Reel and Jen Peterson, immediate past chair, and also our Leadership Columbus team, LaDanne Shore and Colin Reese. I'm deeply grateful to all of you and for this resolution.
Thank you. And I know that we have, again, some community all-stars that have been part of Leadership Columbus. Some of the best ideas in the city have grown from the community projects that Leadership Columbus participants have actually started, organizations have spurred because of the work that has happened in Leadership Columbus and the conversations that have happened, and just this really incredible network. It's amazing to be part of like this much broader family. It kind of gives you the feeling, I was never in a sorority, but I think it kind of gives you that feel of being part of this larger effort and knowing that there have been people that have had this like experience with you. So I want to open up to my colleagues if you have any other. Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. So I'm not a part of your fraternity or sorority. However,
We're taking, yeah, you can.
However, I would say that one of the days I enjoy most as being a council member is when Leadership Columbus comes down to City Hall. And I think almost every year, maybe except for this year, maybe I've been able to speak that day. And I always talk about I enjoy it because I see the folks in Leadership Columbus as our peers in the work that we're doing of building a Columbus for everybody. And there's a lot of power, and it's power in that these are younger leaders who are coming through, who are stepping up, who are saying that we want to go beyond our 9 to 5 and do something to make Columbus better. And if you can get 40 folks who will do that in our community every year, 40 or 50, then we're moving in the right direction. So really love it. Thank you.
Any other comments? Great. Well, congratulations on 50 years. Here's to 50 more together. Next year, put me down for the best party ever because I'm sad I missed this year. But the party came to me. You all know, if you know, you know. So again, congratulations. And thank you for all the work that you do. Continued success. And I look forward to what the next 50 years of Leadership Columbus will bring to the Columbus community.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Council Member. Next up, we have President Pro Tem Doran.
Thank you, Council President. I want to invite up the team from the Nationwide Children's Columbus Marathon up to the podium while I recognize Resolution 0257 X-2024 to recognize and celebrate the 44th Nationwide Children's Hospital Columbus Marathon for celebrating racing our community. Exceptional fundraising and groundbreaking research. Every year I bring this resolution to council because I think it's important not only to recognize what is a fantastic race in Columbus that invites so many people of different abilities to get out, have a great day of exercise, see our city on 2 feet, but also the amount of money that this race has raised for Nationwide Children's Hospital, and also the ability for them to honor young people at that race. If folks have participated in the past, you know that every mile there's a young person that has been a patient or is currently a patient at Nationwide Children's, and it's pretty amazing to see them being able to interact with folks in the community that are there helping to raise money to support their care. So very excited to have our race director, Darius Blackford, back down at council tonight to talk about this year's marathon and half marathon, and excited to be a part of that, running the full for my second time here this year, and hopefully going to finish it again. So we'll see. But with that, I'd love to give you the floor, sir.
Thank you, Council President and council members. So this was all set up for me very easily. First of all, Leadership Columbus, 1995. And following, or before that, the presentation about the importance of good medical care. That, to me, is such an easy setup for what I'm here to talk about, which is Nationwide Children's Hospital and the Columbus Marathon and Half Marathon. We raise more than $1 million a year for the hospital. We have created just so much love for the hospital in terms of people that didn't run or walk are now out taking part in this event to really to represent, to benefit this wonderful community asset we have with as far as the hospital. So, and what I love about our city, I'm out yesterday for my long walk, and who do I run into finishing his long run? Councilmember Dorns. So I just, to me, we're so fortunate in Columbus to have these wonderful events like the Columbus Marathon, like Pelotonia, our other big community events that we have, and I'm just thankful for the opportunity to continue to do the work we do. This is my 14th time before council. I was a young man when I started this, and but honestly, thank you for all the support. I'm so thankful and blessed that we have great police officers, great fire department, wonderful community relationships with. I bet we touch more departments in the city as one event than most events, and we're very, very, very blessed. So thank you all. Appreciate it.
Now, this year is sold out, but what is the earliest that folks can sign up for next year?
Yeah, so you can sign up on January 1st.
There you go. Well,
that goes for all council. We'll see who's going to come out.
Yeah, we'll get a council running team here together, hopefully, for next year. Thanks again for coming down. I think one of my favorite things I think you touched on is the amount of engagement that Nationwide Children has brought to the race, right? And there's a really cool part of the race where you sort of turn a corner right at Nationwide Children's, and you see so many families and kiddos that are in the rooms that are waving at you. And it's such a, if you've ever run a race before, there's nothing quite like that kind of interaction with such a charitable cause that you're raising money for. So appreciate you being down here tonight, and looking forward to passing this resolution, hopefully at our agenda later tonight.
Rest up. You've got 2 weeks of rest.
Tapering right now, tapering. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next up, we have Councilmember Favor.
Thank you, Council President Harden. It is now my honor to present a resolution that is going to be presented to Zora's House. So if I could invite the Managing Director, Ms. Liz Gordon, to the podium to celebrate the grand opening of Zora's House 2.0 and recognize October 11th, 2024 as International Day of the Girl. On August 29th, Zora's House 2.0 opened its door to the Columbus community, inviting all to experience the work and resilience that Black women and women of color have in the state of Ohio. Honoring the legacy of Zora Neale Hurston, an activist, American writer, anthropologist, and documentary filmmaker, the mission of Zora's House creates a safe space for women of color to establish meaningful, supportive relationships with other women in their community. Zora's House is not only a co-working and community space designed for women and gender-expansive people of color to build confidence, clarity, and connections. It has become a beacon of empowerment and supports so many in our community. There is a short poem from Rupi Kaur. She says, "Our work should equip the next generation of women to outdo us in every field. This is the legacy we'll leave behind." That is what Zora's House does. So as we celebrate the importance of spaces like Zora's House, we also celebrate October 11th as International Day of the Girl to celebrate the power of girls and highlight, discuss, and take action to advance the rights of and opportunities for girls everywhere. When we invest in the next generation of girls, we invest in a stronger, more stable community. And with that, it's my honor to turn the podium over to you.
Councilmember Faber, thank you so much for this resolution, and good evening to all of you. My name is Liz Gordon-Kenlis, and I'm the Managing Director of Zora's House. We're located in the Wineland Park neighborhood here in Columbus, and on behalf of our community at ZH, our staff and fellows and our board, again, thank you to City Council for this resolution. The mission of Zora's House is to create that safe space for women and gender-expansive people of color, and we do that by providing skills and space and strategic connections to those in our community. And the population that we serve are adults, but we believe that Zora's House is the place that we all needed when we were girls, and it's a place that we imagine being a haven for our daughters, little sisters, nieces, and any other young person who is in our community. We're committed to meeting the evolving needs of our diversifying community here in Columbus and addressing any of the systemic inequalities that hinder the progress of women of color in Central Ohio. With the construction and opening of our new 10,000 square foot community hub, we are poised to create a transformative space, a space that would be for leadership and for innovation and for economic empowerment for women of color all across Ohio. In our new space, we have some really exciting new things that are taking place. We've launched a new social enterprise that we call the Purple Door Cafe, which offers additional funding options for Zora's House, and it uplifts multiple women of color-owned bakeries, coffee bean roasteries, and other culinary vendors. On our second floor, we have our Z Suite office rental program, which will prove to be a critical launch point for women of color-owned businesses who have signed a 2-year lease agreement to work out of that space. In 2025, we will bring to life our retreat space on our 3rd floor and continue to offer so many transformative programs like our Women of Color Wealth Builders, our Zora's House Fellows cohort, our Women of Color-owned summer and winter markets, and many of the partnerships that we have around the city. And currently, the Zora's House staff are actively exploring what incorporating rest into our organizational culture would look like. And in collaboration with the NYU Center for Black Visual Culture, the Maroon Arts Group here in Columbus, the Ohio Rest Collective, and the History Department at Ohio State, we are continuing to creatively explore how restoration as a community and infrastructural value will change the landscape of how organizations of color practice self-preservation in the midst of our advocacy for the advancement of people of color and gender-expansive people of color. So again, thank you, all of you, Columbus City Council, especially Councilmember Faber, for your support. Thank you for your support during our construction process, our exciting ribbon cutting, our opening, and for all of your support during our continued growth. Thank you.
Absolutely. And here at City Council, we're just so incredibly excited for you all in this new journey with Zora's House 2.0. If you have not had an opportunity to the public that's watching, please stop by, grab a cup of coffee, take a tour. It is a dynamic facility, and congratulations to you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next, we have Councilmember Green.
Yes, thank you so much, President Hardin. At this time, I would like to invite Jennifer Bollock to the podium as I introduce Resolution 0268X-2024 to recognize October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month in the City of Columbus and to recognize the work of Miles Mission. As part of my Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee role and responsibility, I have the honor of working with our dedicated folks at Celebrate One, a department within our city that's dedicated to educating and supporting expectant mothers, new mothers, and their families to help address and reduce infant mortality in our communities. And for some, the journey to motherhood is a little bit more tragic. You may be surprised to learn that pregnancy loss and infant loss is one of the most common adverse pregnancy outcomes today, affecting 1 in 4 women and birthing people, causing those affected with short and long-term impacts, including grief, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, which may impact maternal health and subsequent pregnancies. And although pregnancy and infant loss occurs in families of all races and ethnicities and geographies and abilities and income levels, it affects our population here in Columbus unevenly, with Black birthing people being 43% more likely than white birthing people to experience a miscarriage and twice as likely to experience a stillbirth or an infant loss. These racial disparities can be attributed to many underlying causes, not just biological or genetic, but also most certainly to persistent systemic inequities in our institutional policies and practices that impact access to health care. Unfortunately, information about miscarriage and stillbirth and infant loss is not always widely shared among the general public, which can lead to feelings of isolation among those grieving the loss of a child. And so it's so critical to our impacted families that they have a place to reconcile their experiences. And so we are so lucky to have in our community Miles Mission, who's been an absolutely invaluable partner and an advocate and a champion for infant and maternal health with unwavering dedication to raising awareness and improving healthcare systems and promoting maternal health and the creation of a therapeutic environment to support families across our community who've been impacted by an infant loss. And so to help us acknowledge October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, I would love to turn the floor over to Jennifer here, the Vice President at Miles Mission, to say a few words about your work.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Green, and to all of City Council. A brief history, it was 1988, in fact, when President Ronald Reagan first recognized October as Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Month, really acknowledging the unique grief of bereaved parents and families who have suffered the tragic loss of a baby. And more than 30 years later, this acknowledgement is still very much needed, as pregnancy and infant loss affects 1 in 4 pregnancies, and I am 1 in 4. It was 3 years ago this week, on Friday, in fact, that my son, Miles Owen, was born sleeping. And that grief of losing a child was and is still so profound. But out of that pain, my family, we found a new purpose. And out of our loss, Miles's mission was born. We aim to increase awareness, shedding light on the often overlooked journey that families impacted by pregnancy and infant loss walk. They walk that journey each and every day. We advocate for health care, for aftercare, better medical and better mental health support. And we recognize that addressing pregnancy and infant loss is a collective effort. So we actively seek those like-minded organizations and individuals to make a meaningful impact together. In our 17 months of existence, we've seen how desperately this support is needed in Ohio and beyond. It's not just us, though. More than 300 people will gather for our annual fundraiser, our Night of Champions, this Wednesday night. And then Saturday morning at Genoa Park, hundreds more are registered currently to attend our Pale Remembrance and Awareness Walk. The loss of a child, as you mentioned, council member, is often isolating, but it does take a community to work toward that healing, together, one step at a time, because these families need to know that their loss will not be overlooked or forgotten, no matter their color, because every life matters. And so we thank you for our recognition of this work and for joining our extended family. My father is Miles's mission president. My mom is our treasurer. And we thank you for collectively working with us toward a brighter future, navigating families of loss. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, thank you so much for the work that you do. I know how hard it can be. And so to be able to turn that pain into purpose and be able to give back to people in our community in a way that is both somewhat healing for yourself and also, really supportive at a time, a very vulnerable time for moms who've experienced similar issues. It's really powerful. So we're very grateful. Would anyone else like to say any words?
My sister lost 4 children. And there was nothing like this at that time. So thank you so much for this important work.
Okay, well, again, thank you so much. We look forward to being able to formally vote on this resolution at the top of the meeting, but we are endlessly grateful to you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Councilmember. And last, we have Councilmember White.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to invite representatives from the following departments to come forward to be recognized: Public Utilities, Public Service, and Rec and Parks. Come on up to the podium. While you're coming forward, I'll read the resolution. I have 0241X-2024 to recognize and celebrate October 1st through the 7th as Stormwater Awareness Week. We are fortunate that we are able to make this awareness on the very last day of the week. The timing also syncs very succinctly what is happening across the country. Over the past few weeks, we've all seen the impacts of the tragedies from Hurricane Helene on communities around the country. Events like these are why I see stormwater management as a topic of utmost importance in our environmental management in the city. Stormwater management is vital for public health, environmental quality, and financial stability. This is why we're here to thank you all for taking such great care of our community stormwater infrastructure. Because of all of you, we get to go throughout the day without having to worry if we're going to flood or have clean drinking water. I know it is your job and you do it without thanks, but you are the unseen heroes of our community and deserve commending. So thank you so much. If you can all just introduce yourselves and your title, and then we'll give you some chance for some brief remarks.
My name is Alexander Knitsky. I'm the Stormwater Coordinator for the City of Columbus and Divisions of Sewer and Drains and Public Utilities.
Good evening. I'm Kim Shapiro. I'm a Regulatory Compliance Advisor with Department of Public Utilities.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Hopwright. I'm a Building Maintenance Manager with the Department of Public Service.
No, I'm Ben Martin, the Building Maintenance Manager for Fleet Management, Finance and Management.
Good evening. I'm Paul Wilson. I'm the Assistant Administrator of Sewers and Drains.
Thank you.
Good evening, President Hardin and the Public Utilities Chair Weich, and members of the Council. We appreciate this recognition. As mentioned, especially in the past few weeks, stormwater has been brought up to the forefront. It's usually an area that no one thinks about unless there's an issue, and we take great pride in overseeing our stormwater programs, and it touches almost every division within the city because it does take a village, because every one of us have impact in the communities that we live in, and we advocate for it because we all enjoy the beautiful rivers and creeks that we have in Columbus. We're very blessed with it, and for recreational use, for nature, and we take great pride of it. And so we thank you for the recognition, because especially the times we're living in and the times that kind of what just occurred. And we take pride in our work because we live in the city, we work in the city, and we provide a service that gets to be enjoyed. So we thank you for this recognition, especially this is the Stormwater Awareness Week. And we thank you. And
appreciate it. Well, I thank you all for being here. As you mentioned, we are definitely in the era of the 100-year flood. So it's only important that we as a city continue to do everything that we can to reduce risk. And so you being here, doing all the work behind the scenes is so truly important to the survival of our city, especially at a time when we're seeing other states and cities kind of struggle with dealing with stormwater. So again, appreciate you being here. As has been mentioned, we will formally pass that resolution, so we'll be able to give that to you soon. But appreciate you being here today and for all the work that you're doing to keep our city safe. Thank you. I'm sorry. Do any of my colleagues have any questions or comments? All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, council members, and thank you and congratulations to our guests this afternoon. This will conclude our special presentation. All of the resolutions that we spoke about this evening will be considered by my colleagues and I during the regular city council meeting this evening. It starts at 5 p.m. We will reconvene in about 25 minutes. See you guys soon. Thank you.
amadoda endiwaziyo shuthi amandujiyani la enza zonke ezo zemikhuba amadoda endiwaziyo shuthi amandujiyani la enza zonke ezo zemikhuba amadoda endiwaziyo shuthi amandujiyani la enza zonke ezo zemikhuba amadoda endiwaziyo shuthi amandujiyani la enza zonke ezo zemikhuba amadoda endiwaziyo shuthi amandujiyani la enza zonke ezinto zemikhuba engalunganga
We'll now come to order. Will you please stand for the playing of the national anthem? Councilmember Green, would you please lead us in the pledge? To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, Council is grateful to have the Reverend Dr. Kevin Orr, the pastor of Glenwood United Methodist Church, here to pray with us. Pastor, welcome.
Thank you. Let's pray. O God, our sovereign and source of life, we thank you for all the ways you are blessing this city. We have an abundance of resources. We are rich in diversity, vitality, and possibility. We also acknowledge the challenges our city faces. We are challenged by how to manage the growth we are experiencing in ways that are equitable and just, as well as discerning how to prepare now for the continuing growth we anticipate in the future. Grant wisdom, thoughtfulness, creativity, and courage to this body and all who are serving the public in this great city. Assist them in their work of stewardship, especially in their responsiveness to the needs and aspirations of the most vulnerable among us. We offer this prayer with confidence, for you, O God, in your providence and unseen hand, has guided this city for many generations, and we are confident will continue to do so in these times and for generations to come. This is our prayer, which we ask in your holy name. Amen.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. This week's communications received by the city clerk's office are listed on the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read into the record?
Not at this time.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll go around the dais for announcements from my colleagues, starting with Councilmember Bankston.
Thank you, President Harden. I would like to invite Director Orth up at this time from our Department of Technology for opportunity to provide updates regarding the ongoing cybersecurity incident. Just as a reminder that we will continue to have these updates from our Department of Technology and any relevant updates from our City Attorney's Office on a weekly basis for the foreseeable future as we navigate through this current incident and as we wait in anticipation for a formal public hearing. And with that, Director Orth, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Good evening, President Harden, President Pro Tem Dorans, Chair Bankston, members of council. I'm here tonight to provide an update on the cyber attack that impacted our city since July 18th. Additionally, I'll be discussing financial implications of the attack along with the details of Ordinance 2579-2024, for which I'm seeking your approval this evening. Following the update, I will outline the ordinance and the planned use of the requested resources. First, the cyber attack update. As I mentioned during our last meeting on September 16th, The cyber attack remains a critical issue affecting not only the administration but also every resident of Columbus. Our team, along with cybersecurity experts, has been working diligently to remediate and restore our systems and identify impacted individuals. On September 16th, I highlighted the growing threat posed by foreign state-sponsored organized crime groups, which are targeting cities across the country. Since that time, cyber attacks have also affected the Seattle-Tacoma Airport, Wayne County, the largest county in Michigan, and major telecommunications companies such as AT&T, Verizon, and Lumen. And that's just since we last met. These adversaries are constantly evolving, which means that we must also continuously strengthen our defenses to stay ahead. Our efforts remain focused on 3 critical areas. Although you're already familiar with them, I'd like to revisit these points and provide a few additional details ahead of the final reports. First, we're focused on understanding the attack. We have a dedicated team conducting a forensic investigation to pinpoint how the attackers infiltrated our systems, which systems were compromised, and what data was accessed and exposed. RSM, the city's forensic cybersecurity expert, was on site immediately after the cyber attack was identified, and we've been working diligently ever since. While the investigation is ongoing, it is clear that this was a very sophisticated intrusion. Experts are reviewing forensic artifacts to determine the techniques and the tools that the cyber criminals used. As you know, we were fortunate that the city's security measures successfully prevented the city's information from being encrypted. Intrusion detection software has been installed on the city's systems to ensure the networks remain secure. This is why we are adamant about thoroughly securing every city system and completing a comprehensive forensics analysis of the threat actors' activities. Speaking of data forensics, with the direction of Dinsmore and third-party forensic data mining experts, Digital Mint and Haystack, we have a large team to deploy to identify what data was stolen, how many records from our systems were exposed, and what types of information was compromised. Early on, we confirmed that the criminals accessed and exposed personally identifiable information, had compromised law enforcement and other city data. Consequently, we issued broad notification on August 16, 2024, after having provided direct mail notification to employees on August 6th. We are also providing experienced identity theft protection services to city employees, residents, and others who have interacted with the city and the municipal court, including minors. Completing data forensics, as in all cyber attacks of this nature, is an exceptionally complex and time-consuming task. To put things into perspective, the city manages over 8.5 petabytes of data. That's equivalent to 2.2 trillion sheets of paper. If stacked, that would reach approximately 139,000 miles high, or almost half the distance to the moon. There is therefore a vast amount of data and systems to go through and consider. We're continuing to work with federal law enforcement and our cybersecurity experts to analyze the data posted on the dark web. That review is taking time in large part because the data is being obtained from the cyber criminals' website on the dark web, which requires precautionary measures to download, evaluate, validate, and review while ensuring that malicious files are not embedded within the data. We intend to update you and our residents on the review once it is complete. The timeline for these types of investigations usually takes several months. For example, many of us recently received Change Healthcare's data breach notice during the last few weeks, which was provided more than 7 months after the reported breach date of February 21st, 2024. now remediation recovery. We remain steadfast in our commitment to securing and restoring our systems. RSM continues to work with the Department of Technology to advance these efforts. Since our last meeting on September 16th, we've brought 32 systems back online, with our focus now on fully remediating the 106 remaining systems and restoring internet access by the end of October. Following a review of our records, we have updated our total number of applications from 443 to 474, and as of Friday, 73% have been remediated, 5% are partially remediated, and 22% remain to be remediated. While this process is taking time and understandably causing frustration given the complexity of the threat, we're proceeding with the necessary caution. There's no standard time frame for recovery from a cyber incident, as each organization faces different circumstances. Most organizations typically recover within 150 days. Today marks 81 for us. Although this timeline is challenging, our goal remains full restoration in October, and we'll provide updates as necessary, and we certainly appreciate your patience and understanding during the process. As of last Friday, over 15,000 employees, residents, and minors have signed up for the offered Experian Identity Theft Protection Services. This represents a 15% increase from my last report. We continue to encourage all past and present city employees, as well as Columbus residents and non-residents whose personal information was provided to the city through things like the city building access here at City Hall or Easy Lobby, criminal justice systems for defendants, witnesses, victims, those who contracted for city provisions with police, fire, water, sewer, city vendors and suppliers, or parties to litigation at the Franklin County Municipal Court to enroll and experience identity theft protection services. These services, free to enrollees, include 2 years of credit monitoring with all 3 credit bureaus, dark web monitoring, identity restoration services, and up to $1 million in identity theft insurance. Dark web monitoring alerts individuals if their information is found on the dark web, regardless of whether it relates to this incident. Enrollment instructions can be found at columbus.gov/cyber. Finally, the proposed legislation before you this evening for your consideration is Ordinance 2579-2024. This ordinance, if passed, would do the following. First, it acknowledges the receipt of the mayor's emergency letter and ratifies authorization for the city attorney's office on behalf of the Department of Technology to enter into a $4 million contract with Dinsmore & Scholl LLP. This contract includes engaging cybersecurity experts such as RSM, Digital Mint, Haystack, Experian, and CDWG, who is the reseller for the endpoint security software Sentinel-1, to assist in the incident response. And just to speak briefly to the experts who have engaged to help us, Dinsmore brings decades of experience in cybersecurity law and incident response for thousands of similar attacks as ours. Digital Mint specializes in ransomware incident response, serving diverse clients from Fortune 500 companies to government agencies with experience handling thousands of ransomware cases. RSM offers a comprehensive suite of cyber resilience and recovery solutions. Sentinel-1 provides industry-leading cybersecurity software with its AI-powered Singularity platform, and Haystack ID is specialized in e-discovery and data forensic services firm. They're an industry leader serving nearly half of the Fortune 100s in the country. The ordinance also supports an additional $3 million, which the Department of Technology estimates will be needed to continue the incident response, including the provision of free identity theft protection services. The Department of Technology has outlined the following budget for the incident response covering July 18th through the end of 2024. Please note that these amounts are estimates and may change. First, up to $2,401,052 for system forensics, systems remediation, data mining, data forensics, and cyber threat monitoring. Up to $1,644,348 for Experian Identity Theft Protection Services, including credit and dark web monitoring based on industry utilization rates. up to $1,952,100 for legal counsel related to the incident response, up to $1 million for long-term system endpoint and cyber threat monitoring, up to $300,000 for legal counsel related to the litigation, and up to $2,500 for incident-related expenses such as hard drives and tools. Finally, a separate forthcoming ordinance will authorize the City Attorney's Office to extend its contract with Voorhees, Sater, Seymour, and Pease to represent the city in litigation arising from the cyber attack. The initial phase of this representation was up to $50,000, and the legislation will seek an additional $250,000. In closing, cybercrime is a pervasive issue impacting governments, businesses, and citizens nationwide. Columbus is not alone in facing these challenges. We are dedicated to addressing the damage caused by this attack, supporting our residents, and building a more secure, resilient technology infrastructure for the future. I'd once again like to extend my gratitude to everyone in city government, including City Council, for your ongoing patience, understanding, and support. That concludes my testimony. Now, while remaining mindful of the ongoing investigation, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Director. Any questions or comments from my colleagues at this time? All right, thank you. And I know that one of my questions was specifically around that piece of legislation with Dinsmore, and I think you clarified that because it seems like it's just a law firm, but they are subcontracting all of those services for the data mining and the cybersecurity experts that we desperately need. So again, thank you and to your team for all the efforts. Again, we'll say we are waiting patiently as a council to receive that report. And the reason why we are waiting is that we want the best, most verified, accurate information for us to be able to ask questions and to be able to hold folks accountable. Our role as council is oversight. We don't take that role lightly, but we also don't use that as an opportunity to not get the most accurate information for our residents and for those that have been affected. So as we wait for that report, we will look forward to a public hearing coming up. Thank you again for continuing to have this. As I've said before, all of us are in this together, even the folks on this dais. Information may potentially be compromised. And so we are all in this together, none of us are exempt, and we will get through this all together. And accountability is a journey. It is not an endpoint or a destination. Accountability goes far beyond finding out what happened. It goes far beyond what the current situation is. It goes to what we do next to ensure that we protect the residents and anyone that does business with us because of the environment that we are in, as the director just alluded to. This is happening day after day. So again, this is a moment for us to look at how we're doing business, but also I hope that our residents are taking this as an opportunity to protect themselves and whoever you do business with online and in the cyber sphere. So again, thank you, Director, for being here, and thank you for the report. With that, Council President, any questions?
Chair, can I just ask one question?
Absolutely.
Just you hit on the Experian because we still think that's the most actionable piece of information that all of our residents and employees can act on. The date that folks have to sign up by, again, is when, and how are we making sure that we're pushing that point these last however long we have to?
President Harden, Pro Tem Dorans, Chair Banks, and members of council, that date is November 29th. We continue to promote that on our website, and we'll continue to promote with the community adoption by that date.
Thank you.
And we encourage everyone to sign up that is eligible to sign up.
Certainly. Thank you. President Pro Tem has a question.
Chair, so Director, I know I asked this when I was here last, when you testified for council, specifically on that Experian, just so again, whether folks are hearing this for the first time, I'm going to ask you the same question from a few weeks ago. So, lots of folks have credit monitoring with their credit cards and the kinds of things. So they may say, hey, why should I sign up for this, right? But there's a key difference that exists here with the restoration services and insurance that come along with signing up for this. So one, can you sort of speak to that just again as another touch point from an educational standpoint? We have the media here tonight and hopefully they'll let more folks know about why this is important to sign up. And then two, could you talk a little bit about, and you don't know if you have specific numbers in front of you, but we know that there's been a little bit slow for folks to sign up for this when we first sort of rolled this opportunity out for folks. So wanted to just give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about why this service is different than maybe what folks already have. And if you could share with us, as we've seen, the amount of folks in our community that have signed up for this.
President Harden, President Pro Tem Dorns, Chair Banks, and members of council, thank you for the question. I think, as I mentioned the last time we talked about this, it's not uncommon for citizens to have multiple sources of identity and credit monitoring. I have, I think, 5 monitoring services myself. They are not all the same. It does not hurt to have more than one. They all generally track the same thing, but sometimes they get information at different periods of time. So having more than one, in my opinion at least, is never a bad thing. I think what probably sets Experian apart, although there's certainly other services that provide similar things, not all, but some do, is the dark web monitoring component, number one. And number two is the fact that you can freeze your credit history with all 3 of the major credit bureaus. If your data has been breached and you're applying for credit, it's sometimes a good thing to do to freeze your credit. I do that for myself. I actually just bought a vehicle here during the breach. And when you freeze your credit, in order to have your credit application run, you have to thaw it. Without the Experian service, you have to call all 3 of the major credit reporting bureaus, and that's kind of time consuming, and if you've never done it before, it's kind of challenging. So with the service that's being provided by the city, you can just go to Experian, and they will do that for you automatically, and they'll do it in all 3 credit bureaus. And when you need to apply for credit, you can do what's known as a credit thaw. You open your credit for a period of time, let's say 24 to 48 hours. Then your application goes through and you're approved for your loan, and then it freezes back up again. So from a personal security point of view, that's probably the single most important thing. And then the last thing is with Experian is you get the $1 million of credit cybersecurity. So if you're harmed in any way at all, you're reimbursed up to $1 million, which is certainly adequate for most folks. And that's the main difference. I think I touched on all your
Appreciate that.
points.
Thank you, Director.
Yep. Oh, why are people not signing up? I think
could you just speak to the amount of folks that we've seen sign up? I know originally when the city made this available to employees first and then folks that had direct interactions, and we've opened it up a bit more. I was wondering if you could speak towards that. I think lots of council members have been just encouraging more folks to engage in this, and if you could sort of speak to where we're at.
As of this morning, 2,873 staff, 13,150 residents, and 310 minors. So again, about a 15% increase from when we last met on the 16th.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I actually do have one question. I'm just a little bit confused. So the almost $2 million, the $1,952,100 for legal counsel related to the incident. Can you just talk a little bit more about what that legal counsel is? Because I know we had the 2.5 for like the forensic remediation part, and then there's the additional 300,000 for Voorhees. So what are kind of the differences between all of those, and who's the legal counsel through, I guess?
President Harden, President Pro Tem Dorans, Chair Banks, and members, Councilmember Green. The $1.952 million is primarily for Dinsmore and Stroll. They are really acting as the project managing entity, if you will. So that includes overseeing all the forensics analysis from the subcontractors, the report development, and then all of the substitution notices and general notices that the city has to manage throughout the notification process. So they are our breach counsel. They also will be working to ensure that we have preserved all of the evidence for the upcoming litigation. Whereas the $2.4 million, which is I mentioned earlier, that's really the remediation and the forensics and the data mining component of the work.
All right, seeing no other questions? Thank you again, Director, for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you, members of council.
And next, Council President, very quickly, on a lighter note, I have an announcement to make. I want to share some highlights from our very successful sickle cell blood drives in honor of Sickle Cell Awareness Month that just concluded. So this year, we set a goal of collecting 150 units of blood, And thanks to the incredible generosity of our community, we didn't just meet that goal, we surpassed it, collecting 155 units of blood. Yeah, y'all in the gallery, y'all can clap too. Y'all can clap too. It's okay. These 155 units, this is what I love about this stat, is that have the potential to help 465 patients, showing just how impactful our collective efforts can be. I want to take a moment to extend my heartfelt thanks to everyone who participated in donating blood, in particular our city employees. We have 2 community drives throughout the month, but the majority of the drives are driven by our great employees here at the City of Columbus. I want to thank Director Moses and his team and our HR, as well as every employee across the city that stepped up to donate. As many of you know, sickle cell hits close to home. For me personally, my wife is living with the disease. And so efforts like this are a reminder that it is not just some abstract number, that this work directly supports those we love and care about. And I'm grateful to be a part of a community that steps up when needed the most. I would also like to give a special thanks to the American Red Cross. They have been our partner for many, many years now. I want to thank them for helping us to coordinate all of the blood drives. And I also want to give a special recognition to my staff for all the work they did, in particular, my legislative analyst, Jonathan Brown, who is here with us. It was him behind the scenes helping to coordinate all of these blood drives as well as the lighting ceremony. So thank you, Jonathan, for all of your hard work. I think that's why he's dressed so nice tonight. He's pretty dapper. So even though Sickle Cell Awareness Month is over, you can continue to give blood. I know some of my colleagues up here didn't have the right oxygen level to give during the month, so I'm hoping that they can go give at some other point in time. But no, seriously, giving blood is really one of the most single ways that we can give back to each other. It really centers our humanity. And when we talk about our blood supply, we are the supply chain. So please take some time. When you have a chance, go out and give blood, because it definitely saves a life. And with that, Council President, I concludes my announcements.
Thank you, sir. Councilmember Rosa Padilla.
Thank you, Council President. I would argue, Council Member, that Jonathan Brown is always dapper. But I have a number of invites, so if folks are paying attention, pull out your pens or pencils, because I have several invites for you. So it is still Latino Heritage Month, and this Thursday, October 10th, we'll be partnering with Central Ohio Workers Center for a Know Your Rights bilingual workshop. Join us in learning about workers' rights, available resources, and how to advocate for justice in the workplace. This event will be held from 6 to 8 p.m. at the Columbus Bilingual West Academy at 2500 West Mound Street. And then if folks want to save the date, because we will round out Latino Heritage Month with the Latino Arts Festival on October 18th at Block Fort. We're excited to have live performances, arts activities by local Latino artists, the Columbus Museum of Art, CCAD, and the Cultural Arts Center, as well as live performances, activity booths for children and families, food trucks, and more. It's all free. I hope folks will join us. You can find out more information on all things Latino Heritage Month by following our Instagram page at Latino Heritage CBUS or our website, latinoheritagecbus.org. Next, this Friday is Day of the Girl, International Day of the Girl on October 11th, and we've partnered with Aaron Pink and Ice Mentors to celebrate and empower our young women through our Girls Will Summit. We'll have over 400 middle school girls at COSI. Girls will dive into hands-on tech workshops, innovative activities, and leadership sessions designed to amplify their voices and celebrate girls in STEM. Very excited. Stay tuned to our social media channels. Last year, we actually had some proposals from the girls from the summit, some policy proposals. So I'm excited to see what will come out of this year's summit. And then lastly, our second to last Open Streets event will take place on this Saturday, October 12th, from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and downtown Columbus will be transformed as High Street from Long to Broad Street and Gay Street from 3rd to Wall Street will close to all vehicular traffic, creating a pedestrian route where you can walk or stroll. You can take your bike, you can take a scooter down. There'll be 3 stages with pop-up live music. We'll also have arts. We also have a transit hub where folks can learn more about Linked Us, some of our other transit happenings that are happening in the city. You'll be able to test ride a scooter, test ride an e-bike, and more. So I hope that folks will join us this Saturday between 11 and 10 p.m. So it's a busy week, friends. Can't say there's nothing to do in Columbus. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Dealcar.
Thank you, Council President. A couple of quick announcements from my office. Firstly, I want to thank the over 100 nonprofits that applied for our Getting Grant Ready Academy, which helps small, scrappy little nonprofits build capacity. Last week, we announced our cohort. Congratulations to the 19 nonprofits that were selected. I look forward to meeting all of them at our kickoff celebration. Secondly, I would like to invite everyone to join me this Veterans Day, November 11th at 12 p.m. at Berliner Park for our Veterans Day softball game. Veterans, their families, friends, and supporters are invited to come out and watch our veteran teams compete in a friendly game of softball. And there will be food trucks and resource tables. Organizations interested in participating can contact my office for more info. And we hope that the public will come together to show support for our veteran community over food and an entertaining game. So that's all for me, Council President.
Thank you, Councilmember. Press Pro Tem. Councilmember Favor. Councilmember Green.
Just one announcement from me that I wanted to share. So this Thursday, which is the 10th of October from 1 to 3 o'clock, I'll be hosting a Link Us augmented reality tour. So there is still one more day to sign up, and it's really cool if you are curious to know what exactly Issue 47 and Link Us is going to bring to our community. We have this augmented reality tour. You can ride a bus along a route on West Broad Street. We stop at a few stops. You get to get off. You can use your phone to view what the new terminals are going to look like. It's a really, really cool experience, and it really, really helps you understand the vision and what we're trying to do as we're looking to bring high capacity transit here to Columbus. So if you would like to sign up, there's a form that I have posted on my Instagram page. You could go there, or you could just reach out to our office. You could reach out to Haley Gherkin at hegherkin@columbus.gov, and we would be happy to get a seat for you. That's all from me.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Remy.
Good evening, Council President. I just wanted to remind everybody that tonight, following our council meeting, we will be celebrating Breast Cancer Awareness Month with a lighting ceremony. So please join us on the west side of City Hall to celebrate and honor breast cancer survivors and the American Cancer Society. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember White.
Thank you, Council President. I have just 2 quick announcements. First, the deadline for our Act With Us Youth Art Contest has been extended to October 18th. Received a number of submissions already, but given the issues we've been having with our IT, it just made sense to kind of extend that deadline. As a reminder, participants will create a reduce, reuse, and recycle poster encouraging sustainable practices, and the winning design will be displayed in Columbus City Council offices and other City of Columbus facilities. It is open to K-12 students who live in Columbus, and I would encourage everyone to visit columbus.gov/actwithus to learn more and to submit their designs. Also, I just wanted to bring attention to a partnership that the City of Columbus is having with Franklin County Commissioners and TechCore to host this year's TechCore Hack for students in Columbus on November 16th. I know we just spent some time talking about our ransomware hack. There are good hacks and bad hacks. This is a good one. The all-day event aims to engage high school students historically underrepresented in tech. Participants will learn to develop a mobile app that solves a real-world challenge. There's no entry fee, no previous experience is needed, plus each winning team member will receive a cash prize as well as full meals, snacks, technology, and swag at the event. I would encourage all high school students to visit TechCore, TechCorps.org to register by November 8th. It's going to be a really cool event. as we continue to position Central Ohio as the Silicon Heartland, it is important that our students and our residents get a chance to participate in that growing economy. And so this is just really an opportunity to expose them to a career field that they may not have considered. And so just encourage any high schoolers that you know to get involved in this program. It will be worthwhile. So thank you. That's all I have for me.
Thank you, Councilmember. Are there any announcements from the elected officials? Seeing none, are there any requests by members of council for the removal of an ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Hearing none, may we now have a motion to waive the reading of titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Finance and Governance Committee ordinances 2434, 2443, 2462, and 2535-2024. Economic Development and Small and Minority Business Committee ordinances 2420, 2432, 2581-2024. Public Service and Transportation Committee ordinances 1632, 2495, 2559, 2571, 2572, 2577-2024. Neighborhoods, Recreation, and Parks Committee, ordinances 2474, 2488, 2492-2024. Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, ordinances 2471, 2565, 2588, 2619, 2620, 2622, 2632, 2634, 2636, and 2657-2024. Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, ordinances 2389, 2429, 2430, 2431-2024. Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, ordinances 2590, 2592-2024. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, resolution 233X-2024, and ordinances 672, 2356, 2365, 2494, 2501, 2555, and 2557-2024. Rules and Policy Committee, ordinance 2517-2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have one speaker on the first reading portion of the agenda, Mr. Nate Wilkins. Mr. Nathaniel Wilkins, speaking on ordinance 2565. Mr. Wilkins, welcome to council. Welcome back to council.
Let me make a correction on that. I am for this. I was in a little rush this morning. 1612 Arlington Avenue. I'm speaking in for this FR 18. I believe it's 2565, 2024. What I would like to see is more money utilized for the elderly and the disability. When we talk about habitat, and I just want to remind you, I'm a very passionate person when it comes to older homes. And I wish this was in place. And what I will be questioning for is $2.5 million. And let me say why that I want to question for $2.5 million. As my mother was not here, she lived in a house that had broken windows, couldn't idolize to fix her house. And so this is why I idolize this kind of money for people to stay in their homes, the elderly and the disability and hearing impaired. And so if we can wrap our hands around some of these age-old homes in some of these poor communities like Linden, South Linden, and the West Side, some of these homes can be refurbished and brought back to life. And so instead of having wrecking balls or a death sentence, we want to bring them back to reproductive use for all type of people that's getting out of prison. For instance, I walk my block and look at this lot. Habitat is getting ready to purchase this lot of 1495 Arlington Avenue. Mind you, we won't have any more homes that have angle roofs or architect and design. If we can hold purchasing this lot through Habitat and put a disability home there, that will be great. because I'm just 15 houses down from this. And so, we can look at this as bringing more annual opportunity and bringing troubled youth development out of troubled teenager kids where they can be productive and do something out of lives for their time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wilkins, for your continued advocacy. And I think we hear you with grant programs that support specifically our seniors and folks with disabilities staying in their homes. It is a growing issue in our community. So thank you for that. The following ordinances appear on our agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those into the record?
Resolutions of expression 251X, 252X, 257X, 266, 254, 267, 268, 269, 241, 258, 263, 264, and 265X-2024. Finance and Governance Committee ordinances 2204, 2323, 2326, 2343, 2409, 2414, 2449, 2469, 2498, 2584, 2587, 2606-2024. Economic Development and Small and Minority Business Committee ordinances 2378-2024. Public Service and Transportation Committee ordinances 2018, 2372, 2536, 2597-2024. Neighborhoods, Recreation and Parks Committee ordinances 2472, 2473, 2477, 2480, 2483, 2485, 2487, 2489-2024. Workforce, Education, and Labor Committee ordinance 2361-2024. Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee ordinances 2347 and 2382-2024. Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee ordinances 2388, 2399, 2417, 2418, 2457, 2459, 2580, 2599, 2624, 2652-2024. Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee ordinances 2403, 2404, 2452, 2482, 2543, and 2563-2024. Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee ordinances 2158, 2350, 2374, 2387, 2402, 2505, 2506, 2553-2024. In the Rules and Policy Committee, we have appointments from the Mayor's Office numbered A0, 167, 168, 169, 170, 171, and 172-2024.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we call for a vote, I just want to make a point that tonight you didn't hear us read any resolutions. That is because we had a hour celebrating folks who we're going to vote on resolutions now on consent. And so I know there are still some awardees and folks that we recognize in the room. So thank you for all you do in our community. And hope the directors like this pilot that we did today in trying a resolution hour before council started. So we'll take a poll to see how folks like that on the dais and in the audience. Unofficial poll. May I have a motion for these approval of items designated as consent? Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Bankston,
Yes, with the exception of ordinance 2403-2024, from which I'm abstaining.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla, Ms. Day Alcower, Mr. Dorans, Ms. Faber, Ms. Green, Mr. Remy, Mr. Weich, President Harden.
Yes, the consent agenda items are passed with the noted exceptions. I apologize. Yes, with the exception of 2361, with which I am abstaining.
Yes.
The consent agenda passed with the noted exceptions. We'll now proceed with the second reading of 30-day postponed and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance and Governance Committee. Councilmember Bankston chairs that committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in the Finance and Governance Committee for second reading, we have ordinance 2579-2024. to appropriate funds within the income tax set-aside fund, to authorize the city attorney on behalf of the Director of Technology to enter into a contract modification with Dinsmore and Scholl LLP to allow for additional funding for the firm and their named cybersecurity contractors for legal and incident response services in regard to the recent cybersecurity incident, to authorize the expenditure of $3 million from the income tax set-aside fund, to authorize the expenditure of said funds for expenses incurred prior to the effective date of this ordinance, and to declare an emergency. As Director Orth gave it at the top of this meeting, he spoke at the top of the meeting during his updates that this piece of legislation does two things. One, it first authorizes the city attorney's office on behalf of the Department of Technology to enter into a $4 million contract with Dinsmore and cybersecurity experts. And second, it appropriates an additional $3 million that the Department of Technology estimates will be needed to continue the incident response, including the continued provisions of free identity theft protection services for all residents and those affected. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. May I move to the Economic Development and Small Minority Business Committee?
Please.
Thank you. Tonight in the Economic Development and Small Minority Business Committee, we have Ordinance 2438-2024 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a dual-rate jobs growth incentive agreement with Gift Health, Inc., doing business as Gift Health Pharmacy for a term of up to 5 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed total capital investment of $1 million and the creation of 751 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $56,449,965. This ordinance I am very excited about, and it demonstrates Columbus's ascension to establishing itself as a regional leader in technology and healthcare. First, as a refresher, dual rate job growth incentives are cash payments up to a certain percentage, often 25 and 30%, of the local income tax withholdings for eligible new employees for up to a negotiated term for businesses located or expanding in the city of Columbus. The rate and terms are based on a number of factors of new employees, whether the employees live in the city of Columbus, the investment amount, and the lease term. Gift Health, Inc., which is doing business as Gift Health Pharmacy, is a fast-growing healthcare technology company that began operations in 2020 to provide more accessible and affordable solutions for the cost and complexity of prescription drugs. Gift Health is proposing to invest a total project cost of approximately $1 million, which includes $300,000 in machinery and equipment, $300,000 in furniture and fixtures, $100,000 in standalone computers, and $300,000 in leasehold improvements to expand their operations in the city of Columbus. They propose to enter into a lease agreement on a vacant warehouse space consisting of approximately 30,000 square feet at 4321 Equity Drive. This project will allow Gift Health to expand their dispensing services by creating 751 new full-time permanent positions with a cumulative associated estimated annual payroll of approximately $56.5 million. The Department of Development is recommending a dual-rate jobs growth incentive in an amount equal to 25% of the City of Columbus's income tax withheld on Columbus payroll of new employees and 30% of the City of Columbus income tax withheld on Columbus payroll of new employees who live in the City of Columbus limits. Residents and at the end of each calendar year, both for a term of up to 5 consecutive years. All 751 new full-time positions are well above the city's $20 an hour wage threshold. In fact, the lowest paid job will be at $28.84 per hour. And of course, with our incentives, that includes health care benefits as well as retirement for those employees. I'm excited to see the economic impact this project will bring to the city. However, more importantly, I'm eager to see the positive impact this project will have on our residents. You've all heard me say this. This is not just simply about more revenue to the city. It's not just simply about jobs. This is about opportunities. Opportunities for 751 residents to be able to provide for their families, to be able to provide for this community. And so it is this type of investment that we're making and that we see across our community that shows that Columbus continues to be in a strong economic position, but more importantly, continues to grow in the fast-growing areas and segments of technology and healthcare. And for individuals who are interested in employment opportunity, there's 751 jobs, y'all. So go out to this website. That's www.gifthealth.com/careers. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have ordinance 2440-2024 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a dual-rate jobs growth incentive agreement with Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. for a term of up to 5 consecutive years in consideration of the company's proposed total capital investment of $1,450,000 and the creation of 15 net new full-time permanent positions with an estimated annual payroll of approximately $1,500,000. Civil and Environmental Consultants, Inc. is an engineering and environmental consulting firm with more than 1,400 team members and 34 offices nationwide that was founded in 1989. CEC is proposing to invest a total project cost of approximately $1,450,000, which includes $1.1 million in improvements to the existing building and $350,000 in furniture and fixtures to relocate operations to Columbus. They propose to enter into a lease agreement on a vacant commercial office space consisting of approximately 22,866 square feet at 880 Lyre Drive. The proposed project will allow CEC to relocate their operations to a larger, renewed office space for future growth by creating 15 new full-time permanent positions with a cumulative associated estimated annual payroll of approximately $1.5 million. Additionally, CEC proposes to retain 66 employees with a cumulative associated estimated annual payroll of approximately $12,392,154. The Department of Development recommends a dual job growth incentive in an amount equal to 25% of the City of Columbus's income tax withheld on Columbus payroll of new employees and 30% of the City of Columbus income tax withheld on Columbus payroll of new employees who live in the City of Columbus at the end of each calendar year. Both of the terms are up to 5 consecutive years. All 15 new positions are far above the city's $28 a wage threshold, with all 15 positions having an average hourly rate of $48.08 per hour. Again, I think both of these pieces of legislation speak to our economic vitality, and really excited that this company in particular, if you heard what I said, have locations all across the country. And they could have chosen to expand anywhere, but they chose Columbus. And so these types of economic development deals continue to continue our progress as a region, but again, continue to provide opportunities for our residents. Are any questions or comments for my colleagues before I move for passage? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Neighborhoods, Recreation, and Parks Committee, chaired by Councilmember Day Alcar. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. I have 2 ordinances today. Ordinance 2478-2024 to authorize the Director of the Recreation and Parks Department to enter into contract with Builderscape Incorporated for the Hauntz Park Improvements Project, to authorize the appropriation of $150,187.50 within the Recreation and Parks Permanent Improvement Fund, to authorize the transfer of $2,502,000 within the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Recreation and Parks Bond Fund, and Recreation and Parks Permanent Improvement Fund, to authorize the amendment of the 2024 capital improvements budget to authorize the expenditure of $2,502,000 from the Coronavirus State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Recreation and Parks Voted Bond Fund, and Recreation and Parks Permanent Improvement Fund, and to declare an emergency. Hauntz Park is a 5.6-acre park in the hilltop that has been in need of repairs and renovations as significant improvements have not been made in nearly 30 years. The department has listened to residents' call for attention to Hauntz Park, and the department, after completing a community engagement process and creating a plan, is now ready to reimagine the park. The deteriorating shelter house, small playground, and sports courts will be demolished to make way for a host of new amenities. The new features will include an improved playground, a new court, and a small skate park. Also, because of a lack of field space in the hilltop, a large open green space with a walking loop and gathering areas will be developed. A wetland, complete with a boardwalk, will also be constructed to assist with site drainage. As a West Sider, I'm excited to see this project ready to move forward, and I applaud the work of the department for leading meaningful public engagement sessions over the last 2 years to center community input in redesigning this park. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 2484-2024 to authorize the Director of the Recreation and Parks Department to enter into contract with Tayevco Incorporated for the Adventure Center Renovations 2024 project to authorize a transfer of $1,024,904.04 within the Recreation Parks Voted Bond Fund to authorize the amendment of the 2024 capital improvements budget to authorize the expenditure of $1,024,905 from the Recreation Parks Voted Bond Fund and to declare an emergency. The Franklin Park Adventure Center is host to the department's therapeutic recreation and adaptive sports teams, where differently abled residents are able to fully participate in recreational activities. Some improvements are needed in the center to help enhance the experience of participants so they can better enjoy programming. This project aims to make needed renovations to the Adventure Center's flooring, restrooms, and front desk. The flooring will be level, non-slip, and conducive to adaptive sports. The restrooms will have ample spacing as well as multiple ADA accessible and ambulatory stalls and will also include an adult changing station with amenities. The front desk will enhance customer service, visibility, security, and aesthetics of the entrance. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have from my committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before Council is the Workforce, Education, and Labor Committee, chaired by Pres Pro Tem. Pres Pro Tem, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. First, we have in this committee ordinance number 2670-2024 to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter in a not-for-profit service contract. I'm sorry, I am on the wrong piece of legislation. We're going to start that over again. First, we have ordinance number 1916-2024 to authorize the City Clerk to enter in a not-for-profit service contract with The Ohio State University in the amount of up to $110,000 to provide evaluation and research services for the Columbus Career 500 program, to authorize the appropriation of expenditure from the Jobs Growth Subfund, and to declare an emergency. This is one of two pieces of legislation tonight in support of Career 500. A workforce development partnership between the city and Aspire, who was formerly known as the Workforce Development Board of Central Ohio, and Ohio State to provide capacity building funding for local workforce development organizations who are running successful programs that enable them to recruit, serve, and graduate 500 or more residents over the next 2 years. This legislation is specifically with Ohio State, who will evaluate and study what works with this program and what doesn't. This research will serve the city and workforce development partners in and out of the program to make sure that data-informed decisions are used to better serve residents who need workforce development support. The not-for-profit service contract will cover evaluation costs provided by the Ohio State University Center for Education and Training and Employment. These include quantitative and qualitative evaluation strategies, production of regular reports, as well as final report on results, and engagement of both workforce development agency professionals and their clients. The service included in this not-for-profit service contract cannot be provided by any existing city employees because the services are beyond the city's current staffing capacity to provide. Emergency action is requested in order to provide funding and evaluation for services in a timely manner. In order to conduct pre-program assessments, Ohio State will need to engage with the workforce development agencies in October or November of this year. Any delay in conducting the assessments may result in a negative impact on the research scope and effectiveness of this part of the program. Do I have my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. And now we'll move to ordinance number 2670-2024, which is to authorize the Director of Department of Development to enter a not-for-profit service contract with Aspire in amount not to exceed $2 million to provide fiscal manager and other services as a partner for the City of Columbus Career 500 Grants Program, to authorize the advancement of funds on a predetermined schedule during the term of agreement, to authorize the transfer and expenditure within the general fund and declare an emergency. As I mentioned a moment ago, this legislation is a contract with Aspire to create the Career 500 Grant Program, also known as Columbus Access to Resources for Expanding Employment Readiness. And thanks to my handy staff for that great acronym. This grant program is designed to provide transformative work to the workforce development ecosystem. Career 500 aims to uplift 500 more residents by supporting existing programs and provide training, wraparound support, and job placement services to underemployed individuals in Columbus. Workforce development organizations will be able to apply for capacity building grants with pay-for-performance structures. The program's strategic design is meant to help agencies maximize their strengths and expand in areas where flexible dollars will help them recruit, serve, and graduate more clients. Emergency action is being requested to launch Career 500 program in a timely manner. Aspire plans to launch the application this fall, and grants will be issued as early as January 1st of 2025. It is essential that sufficient time is allowed to establish a contract with Aspire and provide support for their administrative work on this program and issue funds to Aspire to support their grant-making efforts moving forward. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you, Council President. That's all I have my committees at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before Council is the Housing, Homelessness, and Building Committee, chaired by Councilmember Favor. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President Harden. Tonight in Housing, Homelessness, and Building, we have Ordinance 2561-2024 to authorize the City Auditor to transfer and appropriation between department divisions, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development or his designee to acquire property currently held by the Ohio Community Development Finance Fund for the city's land reutilization program, to execute any and all documents as approved by the city attorney necessary for conveyance of title and related services, to authorize an expenditure not to exceed $1,055,000 from the Development Taxable Bonds Fund and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the expenditure of $1,055,000 from the Development Taxable Bond Fund for the acquisition of 3 properties for the city's Land Reutilization Fund. The city's land bank program seeks to acquire property to support its ongoing efforts to make property available for affordable housing projects and partners to develop community land trust housing, low-income housing tax credit projects, and other affordable housing. This legislation will authorize the Director of the Department of Development to execute any and all documents that are necessary to acquire property as approved by the City Attorney's Office and to spend an amount not to exceed $1,055,000. Expenditures will include purchasing real property and costs associated with conducting the due diligence, environmental review, and/or remediation, demolition, title review, and other professional services. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 2605-2024 to amend the 2024 capital improvement budget, to authorize the city auditor to transfer funds within the Affordable Housing Bond Fund, to authorize the Director of Development to enter into grant agreement with Community Development for All People in an amount up to $2 million, in support of the development of 245 units of new construction apartments owned by Deering Family Homes Owner, LLC, to authorize the expenditure of up to $2 million from the Affordable Housing Bond Fund, to authorize the reimbursement of expenditures incurred prior to the establishment of a purchase order, and to declare an emergency. Deering Family Apartments will consist of 245 1-, 2-, 3-, and 4-bedroom apartment units in 3 4-story buildings. These apartments will be affordable to individuals and families making between 30% and 80% of the area median income. Additionally, because this development is on the South High Corridor, residents will have easy access to public transit that can take them to a number of important nearby amenities, including groceries, healthcare facilities, shopping centers, schools, and parks. The city executed a housing development agreement for $2 million pursuant to Ordinance 2883-2023, passed on October 30th, 2023. This legislation will confirm the funding for the project. Deering Family Homes Owner LLC is the ownership entity of the project, with Community Development for All People being one of the managing members. The Director of the Department of Development is hereby authorized to enter into a grant agreement with Community Development for All People. City Council hereby authorizes Community Development for All People to assign its rights, its duties, and obligations under the grant agreement to Deering Family Homes Owner LLC, except that Community Development for All People shall remain responsible for indemnification, reporting, and compliance obligations of the grant agreement as set forth in the copy of the agreement on file with the Department of Development. Are there any questions or comments by my colleagues? Seeing none, I'd move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcowar, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in my committees.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, chaired by Councilmember Green. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight in our Health, Human Services, and Equity Committee, we have 3 ordinances on second reading. The first one is Ordinance 2369-2024 to amend the 2024 capital improvements budget to authorize the transfer of funds and appropriation within the Development Taxable Bonds Fund, to authorize the Director of the Department of Development to enter into a grant agreement with Alvis Inc. to provide funding for planning, design, and construction of additional space for their Alum Creek facility, to authorize the reimbursement of expenses incurred prior to the purchase order, to authorize the expenditure of $1,500,000 from the Development Taxable Bonds Fund, and to declare an emergency. Alvis Inc. offers comprehensive human services to meet the needs of some of those most vulnerable members of our community and currently operates 6 residential reentry centers, 4 outpatient centers, and 1 administrative office building. This is the 3rd contribution of the city's capital commitment, totaling $5 million to expand the Alum Creek facility to construct and connect a 2-story building on adjacent land. Once completed, the additional facility space will enable Alvis to increase its capacity to serve residents from 280 people to 350. Emergency action is requested to ensure that the project continues according to schedule. Do any of my colleagues have any comments or questions? Seeing none, I move for passage by voice.
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Mr. Bangston.
Abstain.
Ms. Barosa de Padilla. Yes. Ms. de Alcowar. Yes. Mr. Dorans. Yes. Ms. Favor. Yes. Ms. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Remy.
Apologize.
Yes. Mr. White. Yes. President Hart.
Yes. Ordinance is passed.
Next up, I have Ordinance 2618-2024 to authorize the Board of Health to enter into contracts with Nationwide Children's Hospital for the provision of WIC clinics at their facilities and access to Interpreters LLC for language interpretation services, to authorize the expenditure of $1,010,377 from the Health Department Grants Fund, and to declare an emergency. Nationwide Children's Hospital is a subcontract of Columbus Public Health WIC and operates 5 sites at various primary care locations across Franklin County, with most offices operating 4 days a week and each office having 1 late night clinic day per week. Nationwide Children's Hospital's WIC program strives to see WIC clients the same day as their primary care appointment in order to provide continuity of care. The need for multiple languages and interpretation services on site continues to grow, and in order for WIC to meet the needs of all clients and provide the necessary services, CPH requires interpretation during WIC visits for those that request services or with limited English proficiency. Do any of my colleagues have comments or questions? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcowar, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And then finally, we have Ordinance 2618-2024 to authorize a supplemental appropriation in the amount of $14,828,458 and any additional funds or grant awards to the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund for the operation of various grant programs administered by the Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging, to authorize the city auditor to transfer appropriations between object job classes for the Ohio Department of Aging, Franklin County Office on Aging, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development aging programs, and to declare an emergency. This legislation is to appropriate supplemental grant funds from the Ohio Department of Aging, the Franklin County Office on Aging, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as administered by COAAA to enable the Recreation and Parks Department to carry on various senior services for the balance of 2024 and for 2025. If you'll remember, we legislated the contracts to the providers for this work through COAAA this past June, and then this ordinance appropriates the funds to actually operate those programs. Emergency action is requested so that the allocated funds can be utilized to continue the operation of senior services without interruption of care, and that's especially important as this grant period begins October 1st and then runs through December 31st of 2025. Do any of my colleagues have questions or concerns? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll on ordinance 2621, 2024.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you so much. That's all I have.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Committee, chaired by Councilmember Remy. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Council President. I have two ordinances this evening in Public Safety and Criminal Justice. The first one is 2354, 2024, to authorize the Director of Public Safety to enter into contract with Ademia Identity and Security USA for maintenance and services for the automated fingerprint identification system for the Division of Police in accordance with the sole source provisions of the Columbus City Code, to authorize the appropriation of $501,880.50 within the income set aside fund, to authorize an expenditure of $501,880.50 from each of the general fund and income set aside subfund, and to declare an emergency. The City of Columbus entered into an agreement with MorphoTrack Inc. in 2015 to upgrade the city's 15-year-old fingerprint system, which was at approximately 90% capacity on fingerprint inventory. The agreement required the city to make lease payments to the vendor over an 11-year period to cover the cost of the upgrade, as well as to provide maintenance and technical support of the new system for the duration of the agreement. The new upgraded system, completed in 2016, provides technology that increases the division's latent fingerprint accuracy, meaning it provides the division tools to help identify suspects quickly and more accurately. The Division of Police anticipates a significant increase in unsolved latent fingerprint hits just by using newer technology. The division will be able to query searches to multiple agencies and databases, which includes wanted persons, persons of special interest, sexual offenders, and terrorist watch list. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Next, I have ordinance 2573, 2024, to authorize the municipal court clerk to enter into the contract with FedEx Corporation for commercial carrier service for the municipal court clerk's office, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, to authorize the expenditure of $100,000 from the general fund, and to declare an emergency. Ordinance 2248, 2023, authorized the municipal court clerk to enter into a contract with FedEx for the provision of commercial carrier services on civil cases, which allows for a more efficient and effective means of service. The municipal court clerk began implementation of FedEx services in 2023 based on a request from the municipal court judges. This legislation allows there to be no interruption of FedEx services being offered to the public. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll. 2573.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor, Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you very much, Council President. That is all I have in Public Safety and Criminal Justice this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Next committee to come before council is the Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, chaired by Councilmember White. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President. Tonight in Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee, I have one ordinance on second reading. It's Weird World and DPU. 2441-2024 to authorize the Director of the Department of Finance and Management on behalf of the Department of Public Service Division of Refuse Collection to enter into a contract with Premier Truck Sales and Rental Incorporated for the purchase of 5 2024 Mack Labrie automated side-loading diesel-powered garbage trucks, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of Columbus City Code, to authorize the expenditure of $1,725,750 from the Refuse Bond Fund, and to declare an emergency. As we all know, Columbus is a growing city, which will increase the demand for services such as refuse collection in the near future. At the present moment, we already have a supply issue regarding the number of garbage trucks necessary to complete waste management operations, and as a result, we have received numerous complaints from residents about trash collection. This contract would work to remedy this issue by adding additional trucks to our fleet. Deputy Director, can you speak to the need for waiving competitive bidding and the emergency as well?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Weiss, President Hard, members of council. Speaking to the bid waiver, we're currently renting these trucks from Premier. As a part of supplementing our inventory or our equipment, we have rented trucks since COVID. As you're probably aware, pre-COVID, we would take like 12 to 18 months to receive a refuse truck once its purchase order is cut to the time we receive it. Currently, we're around 24 to 36 months based on availability of equipment. And what we're seeing as part of the CNG components of those vehicles, it's harder to get those components and those parts. So that is extending the time for us to get these vehicles. So operationally for the division, we see that it's better to have a mixture of both CNG and diesel vehicles just to keep our trucks on the same rotation replacement cycle. So,
thank you. And kind of a timing issue and parts issue. That was my next question in regards to being diesel trucks. Obviously, sustainability guy, that's the last thing I want to hear. But understanding, given what we are dealing with from a timing standpoint, it just makes sense to kind of go in this direction for the fleet.
You're correct. It's all about availability at this point and keeping that flow of trucks coming in. We do have a number of trucks that are currently on order going back to 2022, even into 2024, that are all CNG. So it's just finding that happy mix of different trucks for our fleet.
Appreciate it. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcowar, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have tonight for this committee, but I do have one code change in rules and policy. May I proceed?
Please.
Thank you. I have 2397-2024 to amend Chapter 1119 of Columbus City Code to establish a lead elimination assistance program and to authorize the Director of Public Utilities to promulgate rules and regulations as necessary to implement and administer the program. The Lead Elimination Assistance Program, or LEAP, will work in conjunction with the Lead Service Line Replacement Program that was created back in July. The Lead Service Line Replacement Program allowed the Department of Public Utilities to replace lead and galvanized steel water service lines on public and privately owned property through 4 pathways: schools and daycares, emergency repairs, infrastructure maintenance, and street-by-street replacement. LEAP aims to expedite the removal of lead and galvanized steel service lines on private residential property by providing a path for property owners to proactively replace lead service lines on their property through a no-interest loan secured against the property, with repayment being deferred until the property is sold, transferred, or no longer used as a private residence. $1 million has been earmarked for the program to operate in 2025, bringing the department's investment in reducing the risk of potential lead exposure to approximately $1.3 billion over the next 13 years. We were able to get a presentation from the Division of Water during our last Public Utilities and Sustainability Committee hearing last week. We got a chance to kind of ask questions of the Regulatory Compliance Manager to learn more about the program. But let me see if the Deputy Director has more to add regarding this code change.
Thank you, Chair Weiss. The This program is an important tool in our toolbox to allow for residents who wish to participate in proactive lead service line replacement, and we believe that's important to give residents an option who want to proactively replace their lead service lines.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Any questions or comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That is all I have for my committee tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing no further business come before council, is there a motion to adjourn? Clerk, please call the roll.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, favor green, Remy White, President Harden.
Meeting is adjourned. We have several non-agenda speakers. The first speaker to come before council. Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Are there any additions or corrections to the journal? Hearing none, the journal is approved. Will not go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Dorrance chairs that committee. All members serve on it.
Thank you, Council President. Before we begin tonight's zoning agenda, first a little bit of housekeeping. Will the clerk please read the numbers of legislation in tonight's zoning committee that require waiver of second reading?
2596-2024, 2598, 2601, 2608-2024.
Thank you. I now move to waive second reading on those items read aloud.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Removed.
Waived.
Waived, sorry.
Thank you. Thank you, Clerk and Council President. Now allow me to, as I always do, briefly explain our current rules pertaining to speaking for council on rezonings and variances. We only hear a staff presentation for ordinance that have a disapproval from a recommending body, or if we have a public speaker signed to speak against an ordinance. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents, 3 opponents. We ask that speakers limit their remarks to 3 minutes per the standard rules of City Council. Only those who own property within 125 feet of the address that is subject to the variance request are legally able to make public comments on a council variance pursuant to advice from the City Attorney's Office. All speakers on council variances, including city staff, area commissioners, applicants, and members of the public, will be sworn in before they give testimony. Representatives of the area commission are always able to speak on an ordinance and do not need to fill out a speaker slip, but we do ask that you alert city staff of your intention to speak at the hearing. This evening, we have 0 public speaker slips. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we will now swear in city staff. Please stand and raise your right hand and be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give shall be the truth, nothing but the truth, as usually answered in pains of penalty of perjury? If so, please say I do. Thank you. Please let the record reflect that Eastman Johnson has been sworn in from the Department of Building and Zoning Services. First, we have, and council variances portion of our agenda, Ordinance 2596-2024, granted variance provisions of Section 3332.029 SR Suburban Residential District and 3312.49 required parking in the Columbus City Code. So the property located at 4130 East Livingston Avenue to allow a shared living facility with reduced parking in the SR Suburban Residential District. Site consists of 1 parcel developed with single-unit dwelling. Site is subject to a zoning code violation for failure to obtain a certificate of zoning clearance and a rooming house license for a shared living facility. A council variance is required because the current zoning district allows a residential care facility for up to 5 occupants. It does not allow for the proposed adult care facility for a maximum of 7 occupants with management staff. The council variances to reduce the required parking is also included in this request. City staff has no objections to the requested use, which must also comply with the Ohio Revised Code requirements, obtaining a rooming house license, and be inspected yearly. Staff in support of the request for reduced parking spaces, as the residents will not have personal vehicles at the property. The proposal has approved from city staff and the Mideast Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I first move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. And finally, move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 2598-2024 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3349.03 permitted uses, 3353.03 C2 permitted uses, and 3361.02 permitted use of the Columbus City Codes for property located at 117 Lozelle Road to allow barbershop, beauty salon, and nail salon uses in CPD commercial plan development district. At the request of the applicant, I now move to refer this ordinance back to committee.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bankston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcauer, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Refer back to committee.
Thank you. Next, we have Ordinance 2601-2024 to grant a variance provisions of Section 3332.035 R3 Residential District, 3312.49 required parking, 3332.05 A4 Area District allow with requirements, 3332.13 R3 Area District requirements, and 3332.26 F minimum side yard permitted. Columbus City Codes for property located at 1336-1338 East Fulton Street to allow a 3-unit dwelling with reduced development standards in the R3 Residential District. Site consists of an undeveloped parcel, and a council variance is required because the current residential district does not allow 3-unit dwelling, while the applicant proposes such a use. Variance to lot area, lot width, maximum side yards, and required parking are also included in this request. Staff supports the request use of variances as they're consistent with the plan's recommendations for new housing construction to be consistent with surrounding densities and building types in the neighborhood. Proposal is approved from city staff and the Near East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
Thank you. I finally move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you. And finally, we have ordinance 2608-2024 to grant variance provisions of section 3332.38H private garages, 3332.38G private garages, Columbus City Goats for property located at 1569 Greenway Avenue to allow habitable space above attached garage with increased height in the R3 residential district. The site consists of one parcel developed with a single unit dwelling, and the requested council variance will allow a detached garage with habitable space located above. A council variance is required because habitable space above a garage is only allowed when they're connected directly to a habitable space within a dwelling. The request also includes a variance to garage height. Proposal has approved from city staff and the Near East Area Commission. Do my colleagues have any questions or comments? Seeing none, I move to accept the entire staff report into evidence as an exhibit.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Accept it.
Thank you. I next move to adopt the findings of staff as the findings of council.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Adopt it.
And finally move for passage.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.
Pass.
Thank you, Council President. That's all we have in tonight's zoning agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Seeing no further business come for the zoning committee, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Clerk, please call the row.
Bangston, Barosa de Padilla, de Alcala, Dorans, Favor Green, Remy White, President Harden.